and welcome to That Sounds Right on 2MB Studios. I'm your host, Misinformation, and we are here for another round of the game show where it doesn't matter who is right. With me here in the studio is my co-host, Will, actually.
Misinformation. Audience, how are you all doing today?
I'm doing great. I hope our audience is too. I am really ready to give out those points tonight.
That's wonderful. You know what, Misinformation? I had a dream last night that you would actually give out the points to all the people who got the answers right tonight. And I'm really hoping that comes true.
Will, that was just a dream. Thank you so much for being here. Happy to have you. Happy as well to have our contestants here with us. We've got Anthony.
Hello.
Hi, Anthony. Thanks so much for being here. You ready to give some answers?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We have Colleen Donahue.
Hello.
How are you, Colleen Donahue?
Perfect. How are you, Misinformation?
I am so excited. Excited to have you here and excited as well to have our third contestant, Shruti.
Oh, hi. Just doing work.
Is this a bad time?
Hi, I'm Shruti. I'm a preschool teacher / scientist, smart person.
Wow. Shruti, you are coming in and looking already like a very intimidating contestant. If I were Anthony or Colleen Donahue, I would be very nervous right now.
I see. Wow.
Well, without further ado, let's take our very qualified contestants and let's launch into our first question. You know, I'm already really unsure about who might have the correct answer here because Anthony has glasses and books. Colleen has a last name, and Shruti, I mean, we just saw how qualified here. So let's give out our first question. And just for the audience to know, if you haven't tuned in before, one of these contestants will have the correct answer. One of the answers that we have here will be the correct answer to this question. Question 1. Not every state has a state sport, but Maryland does. What is it? Contestants, I'm going to give that question to you one more time. Not every state has a state sport, but Maryland does. What is it? Anthony, we are coming to you first.
Sure. So Maryland's state sport is jousting, like medieval jousting, like riding on horseback with the swords. And it's because it's a tradition that was passed on from colonials brought over from England.
From when the colonials were jousting?
Yes, it was a medieval English tradition, and then they brought it over, and the tradition stayed while in Maryland, and it's since become the state sport.
Makes sense. All right, a great answer from Anthony. Colleen Donahue, what is your answer?
It's actually competitive foot tickling. So you see Maryland, part of the name, like land on your feet. You really want to plant / land your feet in the ground so you can't get your foot tickled by the other competitors.
You know what, Colleen Donahue, before you gave the reasoning, I was really skeptical about why foot tickling would be a state sport. But the reasoning is airtight. Makes perfect sense. Maryland, land on your feet. Fantastic. And Shruti, what is your answer?
I would piggyback on Anthony's, and he is right. It did come from England, but it's apple croquet. It's croquet, but with apples. Just to make it a little more Maryland, you know?
A little more Maryland, which is known for its
hefty apples.
Hefty apples.
So they use them for croquet.
Okay. Incredible. Now, audience members, clearly we have 3 terrific answers. 3 answers that all could be right. Probably equal chance, I would say, of all these answers being right. Now, if it's your first time here, I want you to know that my choice is fairly heavily influenced by the audience comments. Hop into the comments. Tell me what you think, because I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain here. I don't know any of these answers. I never know who's right. I get it wrong almost every time, and a lot of people think it's on purpose. I assure you it is not. That's just where I'm at. Okay. So again, hop into the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm seeing that everyone thinks that all of these answers are absurd, which is absolutely true. Dave Thomas says there's got to be one of those fried chicken medieval joust shows in Maryland, right? So it sounds like maybe that audience member is going with Anthony.
It's one of those in every state.
There is, though Maryland is very agricultural, and therefore all farmers were able to participate in this sport, which is why it has been carried on for so long.
We have a question in the audience. How do you differentiate the balls in apple croquet? For those of you who don't know, in croquet, the balls are different colors, and that's how you keep track of where you are. Yeah, the hits.
So basically they have a certain quality of worms. They go by worm size. So they put the small worms in one of the buckets, and then the medium size and the large. And depending on the size of the wormhole, you can differentiate the balls. That's my life motto too, you know.
It feels like there would be an easier way, but I guess it depends on if you want to eat the apples afterwards, if you need them to maintain their...
I wouldn't.
Sure, that's reasonable.
Shruti, how do the apples not explode upon contact when you hit them with a croquet mallet?
In Maryland, the mallets.
Oh, right, they're hefty.
Yeah, they're hefty apples.
Right.
The mallets can be padded if you're a weakling. You know,
Okay.
that extra support.
Yeah, I've made my decision. So, Colleen Donahue, your answer seems ridiculous. You know what? No, scratch that. All these answers seem ridiculous. The chat is giving me no help right now, and as usual, I'm absolutely lost. So I'm going to give the first 5 points to Shruti, because I think that apple croquet sounds like a quirky state thing. You know how states have like these quirky things? That sounds like a cute Maryland thing to me. I have to stop talking. That's 5 points to Shruti for the reason I just gave.
Well, actually, here it's actually Anthony. It is jousting. It became the official sport in 1962.
It was really jousting.
Jousting.
In
Foot tickling's actually in Florida, so.
I can believe that.
But Anthony, did the colonials really do it? The colonials?
It's just that's the connection from England.
Yeah. All right. So, audience,
That
again,
was
if it's your first time here, what you've just witnessed is how dumb these answers can be. So this is why I really never know who's telling the truth, because it's almost always impossible to say. We're going to move into our next question, which is, in the Nickelodeon show Jimmy Neutron, Jimmy has a robot dog named Goddard, as we all know. Who is Goddard named after and why? Okay, so in the Nickelodeon show Jimmy Neutron, Jimmy's dog, it's named Goddard. It's a robot dog. Who was this robot dog named after? Colleen Donahue, we're coming to you for your answer.
Well, Goddard is named after Robert Goddard. He was a physicist in the early 1900s, and he is accredited with inventing the first rocket, like the fuel-filled rocket, and he shot it off, actually, the first place ever in Auburn, Massachusetts, which happens to be where I am from, and he has paved the way for rocket science ever since.
Wow, a rocket scientist from Colleen Donahue's hometown already. That's a great answer, because we have a personal connection here, a personal connection to this scientist. Shruti, I'm coming to you next for your answer.
Goddard was actually named after Penelope Amlet Goddard. She founded the Goddard School of Architecture in Arizona State University. Yeah, and I think they used that name specifically for him because he can, architecture involves building things and measuring things. And as we know, Jimmy the Neutron and his dog, they love to do that. So
yes,
it can make sense somehow with that. But
absolutely. Audience, for those of you who don't know, an architect is basically a scientist who builds buildings. So you're absolutely right, Shruti, that it involves measuring and building, which is exactly what Jimmy Neutron did to create a robot dog. Anthony, 2 great answers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say?
So Goddard was named after Ivan Pavlov's dog, whose name was Goddard. Pavlov was the biologist who trained, who the Pavlovian response is when, training a dog to salivate over the ring of a bell. Goddard was the name of Pavlov's dog who we used to train.
Oh, that sounds really right, too. This is what always happens. We had 3 ridiculous answers for the first question, 3 really reasonable answers for this next question. I don't remember the name of Pavlov's dog, but it would make a lot of sense for him to name a robot dog after the dog of another scientist. Thank you, other Dave Thomas. That was a good contribution, but not the kind I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone to tell me who they think is right. A lot of people think it's Colleen. Okay, a lot of people think it's Colleen because, again, we're going back to Colleen Donahue's hometown for this answer. Robert Goddard, we had a lot of great details. I'm going to go with the audience on this one because we've now had 3 different people say Colleen Donahue. So I'm going to give 5 points to Colleen. This is a good lesson for everybody. You win over the audience. You win over me. This is how I operate because I don't know these answers. As
you were right. It was Colleen.
Colleen Donahue.
At a golf course in Auburn, Mass.
From Auburn, Mass.
Auburn, Mass.
Will, are you so excited? Right
I am very excited.
5
very
points
excited.
for correct answer.
Poor Anthony got robbed in that first one, but Colleen got her point. So everybody.
I would say
doing it.
Kind of got robbed in this one as well because that was another very correct sounding answer.
That's true, but it wasn't the right one. Way to go, Colleen.
All right. Our third question in our first round is placing what small object in a vase will keep flowers from wilting for up to a week longer than expected? I'm actually really excited to learn the answer to this. One more time, it's placing what small object in a vase will keep cut flowers from wilting for up to a week longer than expected. What is that small object? Shruti, what's your answer?
I would say a small shallot. It's similar to an onion, but it can definitely go inside of a vase more easily. And you have to just cut the nib off, and the gas that comes out of the onion will help the flowers. This is also useful with all kinds of vegetables and fruits that you keep in your fridge as well.
That sounds like a great tip. Audience members, for those of you who don't know, a shallot is like a small onion from my understanding. Excellent. Shruti's nodding, so it seems right. Anthony, what is your answer?
So the small object is a Viagra pill to keep them from wilting. The Viagra pill keeps the flowers straight up. And it's the active ingredient in Viagra breaks down the chemical in flowers that causes the wilting.
Okay. Does the pill dissolve in the water?
I have yet to try it, but I would imagine so after a while.
Uh-huh. So this is just a tip you're keeping in your back pocket for someday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Great. All right, you've got the audience on your side, Anthony. And Colleen Donahue, what is your answer?
It's actually the tip of a pencil eraser. You see inside a pencil eraser are little microscopic spores of a fungi called mycorrhizae. And mycorrhizae connect with the roots of plants, and they work in like a symbiotic relationship. Like they collect nutrients for the plant, and then they take water from the plant's roots, so they like live together happily. And those are often found in the little openings of erasers.
Oh, Colleen Donahue, when you said pencil eraser, I was like, no, done listening. But you came in once again with a really strong reason. You had a really like scientific word for this. Fun. Dr. Crumbles said, I was thinking it was Shruti, but then Colleen took me back to school again. That is exactly how I felt. Yeah, again, 3 really strong answers for the most part. Anthony, the Viagra answer, it seems far-fetched, but
Too good to be true.
Hey, some of these facts are.
Too good to be true.
Yeah.
Viagra can do this and so much more. I don't know. The audience seems split as well. Colleen Donahue had really strong backup, but Shruti's answer, I have to say, makes sense. And here's why. I'm going to do something I often do on the show, which is connect unrelated information to one of your answers. Inside an avocado, there's an avocado pit. When you make guacamole, which for those of you who don't know is when you kind of smush an avocado, you put the pit in it if you're going to save it, and it keeps it from getting brown. Brown is kind of another word for wilt when it comes to plants. So I'm going to give it to for the shallot, because of that kind of avocado reasoning where you take a part of a plant or a part of another plant to keep it fresh. This reasoning is airtight.
Would you believe?
No.
Would you believe that was actually Anthony who had the right answer on that one?
Shut up.
Viagra.
It is not Viagra.
1 milligram of Viagra is enough to keep 2 vases full of plants alive for up to 2 weeks.
That's stupid.
Audience members, for those of you who don't know, I should have said this sooner. Viagra is a medication that can treat erectile dysfunction.
In both humans and plants.
And humans and plants.
That is unbelievable.
So
Wow.
Can Anthony get those points?
Absolutely not, Will. That answer did not sound right at all. Did that sound right to you, that Viagra would cure wilting plants?
I mean, I kind of knew it was right, so that's a little different.
I forgot.
story.
Will actually knows everything. Wow. That, Shruti and Colleen Donahue, you both had such good answers for that. That was
Microbizae is a real thing, though. Not in erasers, though.
Wow. I was like very convinced by both of your answers, and neither of one. Yes, other Dave Thomas stepped away. It was fucking Viagra. It was the right answer. Our first round, we learned a lot. I learned a lot in our first round. We're going to head into our second round in just a second. But first, I have to say, Shruti, you are in the lead. Yeah, so far you are in the lead with 10 points for 2 answers that sounded right. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How are you doing?
Doing well. I use a lot of these concepts here to teach my preschool children that I collect in the neighborhood that come over here. And so I'm excited to share all my fantastic razzle-dazzle science-tazzle techniques and information in a family-friendly way.
Well, we are really excited to learn more from you here on the show. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience before round 2?
Oh, absolutely not.
Excellent. All right. We're going to head right into round 2. We'll skate right on past that and on to our first question of round 2, which is, what is the largest living organism in the world? What is the largest living organism in the world? Anthony, I'm coming to you first with this question.
Sure. So the largest living organism in the world, you'd think animal first, but it's actually a redwood tree named Francis in California.
It has a name?
Yeah, well, it's the biggest organism in the world.
Right.
It's earned its name.
They measured. They measured.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's a believable answer. Trees are tall. Thank you, Anthony. Colleen, Donahue, what is your answer? What is the largest living organism in the world?
So it's actually, have you ever seen the movie The Meg? It's about a huge shark called Megalodon. So that's not based on a true story, but it is based on a real shark.
The Megalodon?
The Megalodon.
So your answer is the shark.
Not just a shark, the Meg, okay? It dates back to prehistoric times. It's the oldest and largest in the world. It is known to be the mother of millions of sharks in the ocean, okay? It is the mother shark.
Oh, so we're not talking about like a species. We're talking about like the
shark. It is a living dinosaur, and it is also the largest thing on this planet.
It is living?
Yes. Yes. The ocean is 80% unexplored. They happen to find the Meg inside the ocean.
It's true that the ocean is very, very unexplored. Like a huge percentage of the ocean, like we haven't seen it. We don't know for sure. So that's a really interesting answer, Colleen, Donahue. Shruti, what is your answer?
It's actually a mushroom. It's called the. Hi.
Hello.
It's a mushroom called the Armillary ostoriae.
Mm-hmm.
It's one giant organism that's 2,000 acres wide, which is like 1,350 football fields. And it's in Oregon. And it's one giant mushroom that is completely underground. So all the root systems join into one solid being underground. So that's how they're connected. But as you walk along the forest, you just see a bunch of mushrooms everywhere.
Wait, is it in like a cave or is it just kind of in like dirt?
It's just in dirt out in the open. And it just looks like a regular forest with mushrooms and trees. But they're really, all of the mushrooms are one solid organism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, we've got, that answer also sounds right. We've got a few answers that sound pretty right here. We have another answer from the audience. Other Dave Thomas says that actually the largest living organism is other Dave Thomas. So we're deciding now between 4 answers. Let me talk.
I can confirm that Francis is larger than other Dave Thomas.
Have we stood them next to each other?
I guess no. Maybe the internet's playing tricks on me.
Okay. Here's my reasoning about your answer, Anthony, is it sounded great. I was really on board. Trees are huge. I've personally seen several very big trees, and I know for a fact that I have not even seen a tree that would be nearly as big as the tree you're talking about. Trees are enormous. Those redwood trees, especially. Now, assigning it a name would be a bold move if you were making this answer up. That is a choice that I don't think I would like if you were making up the answer, that would be a bizarre choice to assign it the name Francis.
But no, it's a tourist attraction. It's a tourist attraction, so it's named Francis, and there is like a gift shop like associated with it. Yeah.
Shruti's answer seems far-fetched, but I also, when I heard the question, I was like, I bet it's something that's actually like a million little things that counts as one big thing.
A million little things like cells making one big thing, like a huge shark.
Exactly. Colleen, you bring up a good point because absolutely all living things are made up of a bunch of smaller things. Unless those things are very, very small, in which they are made up of one small thing. This is what we know to be true about life. I'm going to bring up one follow-up question from the audience, and then I would like audience members, I would really like you to weigh in on this one. Our question from the audience is, why is it named Francis? Anthony, do you know? Do you have something to back that up?
I don't know. I have to assume it's named after someone who found it or something.
Probably named after someone who found it, like most things in this world.
Mm-hmm.
The audience is not giving me any hints. So here is what I'm going to do. Anthony, I'm going to give you a point because I think naming it would just be a weird move if you were making it up. I'm going to give you 5 points for Francis, who I have to assume is a real tree. Trees are enormous. I've personally seen several really big trees.
Well, actually, here,
Will?
Francis may be a tree, but it's actually a mushroom. That's the largest organism in the world.
Will, you're cutting in and out, but what I'm hearing is that it is Shruthi's answer that was correct. A couple people said this in the chat, and I went against the chat, which I never do, and this is why. Shruthi, you're absolutely right about the mushroom, as you've heard. We won't be assigning any points for that answer because I decided that a tree named Francis sounded right to me. That was the decision I made, and on this show, I'm simply not allowed to change my mind. We're going to move on to the next question in round 2, which is, what disagreement caused a falling out between singers Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson? There was a disagreement. Freddie Mercury, Michael Jackson, they had a falling out. What was this disagreement about? Colleen Donahue, what is your answer?
It was about starbursts. They were arguing about which starburst was the best. Michael loved red, Freddie loved pink, and they both very passionate men. They could not agree and therefore could not talk anymore.
They could not reach a conclusion.
They could not, and they just made them both so mad that they're just like, I don't think they wanted to never talk again, but after they parted ways after that conversation, they just kind of never reconnected after.
Sure. So they parted ways, and then every time one of them thought about picking up the phone, they were like, but the
starburst.
Okay. Fair enough. Shruthi, what is your answer?
From my understanding, in 1984, there was a Frankfurt Music Festival, and basically Queen and it was a major festival in that area, and Michael Jackson and Queen were set to perform, and Michael Jackson, had a bit of an ego and thought like he should go last and Queen should open for him. But Queen, Freddie is just always nice and kind, and even though more of his fans were represented in the audience there, he thought, I think we should do it joint, where we like introduce each other and do like a co-thing, and Michael was not having that. So
because Michael was like, I have to be the headliner.
Yeah, the headliner. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That sounds like a really believable kind of thing that could happen between two artists, right? But I know that some people are also very passionate about their snacks and candy. So, Anthony, what is your answer?
Sure. So they had a falling out because Michael Jackson, the eccentric that he was, refused to not bring in his pet llama to the recording studio. Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson were collabing, and in the recording studio, Michael Jackson kept bringing in a llama named Louie, and Freddie Mercury was like, I need you to get this llama out of here. The llama's name was Louie, other Dave Thomas. And Michael Jackson was like, no, this is my llama. And then Freddie Mercury called his agent, and he's like, you got to get me the hell out of here. I can't do this. And then they had a falling out. So
they never made the collab?
Mm-mm. And it would have been on Thriller.
Oh, my God. Three incredible stories. Three very believable stories. So, I'm sorry. I've never heard of Michael Jackson having a llama.
He had a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sure there are lots of other things that he has had that we may not be privy to, but right. A llama was one of them.
Sure. That I believe that Michael Jackson could have anything he wanted. Who wouldn't want a llama? Shruthi's answer makes the most sense, which on this show means absolutely nothing. Is convincing nonetheless. Colleen Donahue, your answer, I have to say, is probably in last place for me right now. Starburst, like, I don't. The other two like had to do with artistic differences, sort of.
This is why it's such a ridiculous fact, because it was over freaking candy.
That's so true. That is really true.
Like, why are they so passionate about it? The both of them. Couldn't one of them give in? But no, neither of them could. I'm very passionate about it too, it seems.
I can tell, Colleen Donahue, that you're passionate about this, and I understand why you would be. But all three of these answers are terrific. A couple people are going with the starburst, but I have to say I'm going to go with Anthony's answer about the llama, because that seems like just a weird enough answer, but also has to do with the music. I'm going to give 5 points to Anthony for the llama answer, that Michael Jackson would not stop bringing in a llama.
It was a llama.
It was. Oh,
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Anthony. Oh, thank you, Will. Thank you so much. Anthony, how does it feel to have gotten points for a correct answer?
It feels great to, finally have my correctness represented in terms of points.
Was the llama's name really Louis?
Yes, it was Louis.
Wow. A recording studio is not a place for a llama. It has to be said. I think that would probably...
Freddie Mercury agrees.
You'd hear the background noise.
Just spits in the background.
I have to assume llamas are loud chewers. We have one more question in round 2. Our third question in round 2 is very simple. How do leopard slugs have sex? Leopard slugs, they have sex. Deal with it. How do they do it? How do leopard slugs have sex? Shruti, what is your answer?
Well, their antennas that are also their eyes are also their sex organs. So they kind of just go to each other and go diddly diddly and like touch their eye penises to each other. And they're actually what's the word? They have both genders, both sex organs. So one's female, one's male. And then they just kind of can figure out which one interlocks with what, and they have at it. And it doesn't take long, just like a millisecond.
Just a millisecond of touching eyeball penises.
Yeah, pretty much. It's weird, but it's true.
Okay, that is an outlandish answer, but I'm sure that all of them will be. Anthony, what is your answer for this?
It is super not a millisecond. It takes a really long time. So leopard slugs, neither of them have a definitive gender, but they roll over top of the other ones, usually taking half hour to an hour. They secrete a plasm that is then secretes through the other leopard slug's skin, and that is what impregnates the other slug.
Like goo? They goo out?
Like goo, but endoplasm, but goo.
Endoplasm. They secrete it onto. Okay.
Through.
Thank you. Through is the correct answer. Both those
Yes.
answers sound very convincing. I'm hearing one of the major differences I'm hearing so far is Shruti says that leopard slug sex takes a millisecond. Anthony says
Leopards, right?
that's how they got the name for their fast sex. Anthony says it takes
fetus slugs.
up to 2 hours for the sex to happen. Colleen Donahue, what is your answer? How do these leopard slugs do it?
So it actually takes about 10 minutes. So 2 slugs, they meet on the branch of a tree, right? They intertwine with each other. Their bodies intertwine like that. And they do secrete a mucus, like Anthony said. They secrete a mucus, but then they catapult off of the tree branch, intertwined, but hang from the mucus.
What?
And then their huge penises come out of their head. And then those penises intertwine. And then they exchange semen that way.
Like Slug de Soleil.
So,
Exactly, Shruti.
Colleen, oh my God. I thought your answer was over, and then you just kept,
I can add one more detail if you want.
go ahead.
They get back up onto the tree branch by eating the mucus strand.
No. This is not the first time I have found out something that may be true and is so upsetting on this show. That they eat the mucus that they hang from while they intertwine
Bodies and penises.
bodies and penises. Colleen, it really feels like you started going and you just couldn't stop. That answer felt like you were just snowballing down a cliffside. Oh, I don't want to spend too much longer on this. Everybody is really convinced by Anthony's goo story, so I'll go ahead.
My story.
Yeah, you did. You sure did, and they ate it at the end. I'm gonna go audience on this one. I have to give 5 points to Anthony. 5 points to Anthony for the goo tale about the secreting, the absorbing, goo through.
Would you believe that Colleen was right?
Looking up misinformation.
I'm not gonna do that.
Slug porn is freaky.
I'm not gonna look up slug sex like I assume you did, Colleen
My
Donahue, before
sister showed it to me. Okay.
before coming on my wholesome, fun show. You Googled weird slug sex, and you came on here and you disturbed us all with your intertwining penis goo eating catapulting slug sex.
Thank God Colleen was right, because otherwise that means she would have come up with that on the spot.
You know, Anthony, that's always on my mind. That these answers just come to people. Let's move on. And that was the end of round 2. Yeah, we're learning a lot of new stuff tonight. Anthony, you are in the lead right now. Shruti was in the lead. You just took the lead with your goo through story. How's it going? Anything you want to tell the audience about yourself?
Sure, it's going well. I have another show on 2MB Studios called Boy Detectives, where myself and my co-host Will Van Antwerp, we have 2 guests on, and we draft football teams out of things that are not football players. For instance, last week we had a sandwich draft where we drafted football teams out of sandwiches and had the audience vote on who had the best football team.
Yes, I am personally a big fan of that show, Anthony.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tune into that right here on 2MB Studios, folks. We're going to move on to our third round of the night. The first question is, sorry, I just saw the question. What's a blood boy? That is the question. What is a blood boy? There it is. There's the question. What is a blood boy? I'm so concerned. Anthony, what's a blood boy?
Blood boy dates back to medieval times, before they knew much about blood transfusion, and it was just leeches. They would need to get blood from someone else using leeches, but no one wanted to volunteer to do that. However, a blood boy was a job that a peasant could have, where they would volunteer to be the blood boy and donate their blood through leeches to those in royalty.
Wow. It makes sense. I can't say it doesn't make sense. Medieval times is a theme emerging tonight.
And the last one was correct.
That's true. Tough to beat. Colleen Donahue, what's your answer? What's a blood boy?
Blood boys. And probably like the early 1900s, if you remember, also around the time Robert Goddard was around. In London, there was a group of young men that called themselves the Blood Boys. That is because they believed that vampires existed, and they would go around biting people's necks. It was a huge thing. The police, I think they're called the Scotland Yard over there, were in a frenzy trying to get these blood boys because they looked like normal humans, because of course they were, but they thought they were vampires, and they would sneak up to people in alleys in the middle of the night and Go on, bite their necks and say, blood boys.
Blood boys.
Wow.
Would they actually would they try to actually drink the blood?
They would. They well, I mean, what I've read, it sounded like they would try to drink it. Like they would bite them enough to like break skin, and then I read the word slurp a couple times, and then they'd go.
Well, if you read the word slurp, Colleen Donahue, I have to think that puts you in the lead on this one. I mean, you read slurp.
I read slurp. I was right about slugs.
Shruti, what's your answer? What's a blood boy?
So a blood boy is fairly new idea or concept. So basically a healthy teenage boy that's probably around 17 years old. And this healthy teenage boy would be the source of blood transfusions for elderly, frail, wealthy men who believe in the idea that blood transfusion from a healthy young person will give them eternal life and an ageless body. And the concept of this was a few studies on rats. Basically, scientists took a rat that had eaten and was completely full, and took its blood out and put it into a rat that they starved for a couple weeks or something that was ravenous. And then the ravenous rat ended up starving itself because it thought it was full from the full rat's blood. And then with this concept, they did another study with rats where they took an elderly rat and put in the blood of a really young rat, and the old rat started growing new fur and soft young fur and getting more energy. But yeah, so you have to be rich and I don't know why there's no blood girls, but I wondered why old rich men not rich, but I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like a pay gap issue. Blood is a big payout. If there are no blood girls, we need to take a feminist stance. I'm deeply upset by all three of these answers. I really don't like any of them. I totally believe all three of them. I think that's why I don't like it, is that I absolutely believe that all three of these answers could be true. Shruti's answer, that really sounds like late stage capitalism to me. Anthony, your answer sounds medieval as hell. And Colleen Donahue, your answer sounds like the type of shit that we get on this show that I laugh at and then ends up being right.
Don't make the same mistake twice. You're
right.
On slugs.
Colleen, I don't know why, but I'm going to give you 5 points for this answer. That sounds like a weird historical story that sounds right to me. The blood boys, it's such a weird thing to call people. I'm going to give Colleen Donahue.
Well, actually here, Shruti is actually right on this one.
No.
Modern day term.
Oh, God.
That's frightening.
And it costs about $8,000 to get a one-time blood transfusion from a blood boy.
The company's called Ambrosia. One of the cons, though, of this procedure is it could cause immunological problems, just like your body rejects a kidney, from a donor mismatch. It's on a few TV shows like Silicon Valley and Californication. Disgusting.
I don't know why, they could have called it, yeah, correct. They could have called it anything, and they called it a blood boy. I feel like they could have called it a donor, but they used blood boy. All right, we have to move on. I can't think about blood boys anymore. The second question in the third round is, what animal uses mind control on its prey? For what purpose and how? What animal uses mind control on its prey? For what purpose and how? Colleen Donahue, what is your answer?
We are going back in the ocean to the sharks. So it's not the Meg, but actual sharks. They have in their nose electromagnetic little sensors in their nose, and so they basically, I don't know how they hook it up to other fish, but they hook it up to other fish, and they tell the fish, it basically points the fish, it hypnotizes the fish and points it directly into the shark's mouth. It's only a few species of sharks, though. I'm pretty sure it's like a hammerhead, though, and not tiger shark. What's another one? Definitely hammerhead, though, because they have like the weird eyes, so they can't really hunt efficiently. But it's definitely in the tiger. It's definitely in the hammerhead sharks.
That sounds like it could definitely be true. I'm already pretty convinced by that. But Shruti, tell me your answer.
The jewel wasp. As I tell my kindergartners, the jewel wasp enslaves cockroaches and it stings their brain with a precision sting, and it actually makes the cockroach their zombified victim. And while they're alive, this is the best part, the 2-year-olds love this part, while the cockroaches are still alive, they get kind of manipulated like a video game and driven to the lair of the wasp, and then they lay on their back, and then the wasp cuts open their abdomen, lays its eggs inside, and then shoves them in the stomach to pad it.
Okay, that is a ridiculous answer, Shruti, but you have the personal connection of the fact that you tell this to children.
Oh, yeah.
So
it really gets the day going.
That's convincing. Anthony, you've got 2 tough answers to beat. What's your answer?
So it's the horseshoe bat. And every person that I tell this loves this. It's when the bats use echolocation to locate their prey, it works twofold on insects. Because it's mind control, but it's really just confuses the flies and insects that they're capturing to flutter around in space. They get disoriented, and then that's how they're easier to catch.
They get disoriented. Their mind is
right.
Boggled.
Correct.
Oh, those were 3 really good answers. I totally believe sharks would use mind control. That feels like a shark thing. Shruti, you had all those great details. And Anthony, that also could be true. That's all I got. They all 3 could be true. The animal kingdom is weird as hell. That all sounds really convincing. Someone in the chat said Shruti, and I agree. Wasps are terrifying. I'm going to give 5 points to Shruti. I really think that's the right answer.
And it is.
Yeah! There we go.
Yes.
Wow, we are on a roll tonight. Let's keep it up. Wow, Shruti, you got 5 points for a correct answer. And Anthony and Colleen, I feel like I learned something from both of you as well with that made-up information. That was also really scientific sounding, so we're all getting smarter tonight. Let's ask one more question in round 3. It is, the Battle of Waterloo is considered to be Napoleon's most famous defeat, but what is considered to be his most humiliating defeat? Okay, Napoleon, very famous defeat is Battle of Waterloo, but he has a more humiliating defeat, which is what, Shruti?
Oh, well, when he got married, he actually had 2 right shoes on. And it was just, yeah, I know. His feet were pretty small, and they just fit right in. I mean, he would always kind of tell people he had a bigger shoe size than he did. And I guess the cobbler messed up and made 2 right feet. And if you look in the old paintings, they painted it that way. I heard he asked for some correction to make it look like he had normal shoes on, but yeah.
That sounds right. I don't. That's an out there answer, but I'll tell you what, it lines up with everything that I know about Napoleon, which is a very, very little. Anthony, what is your answer?
So Napoleon actually famously shit his pants in the middle of preparation for war. When they were planning to invade Russia, they had to have a very complicated meeting to plan out all of the fronts that they were going to attack. And because it was going on for so long, Napoleon refused to take breaks or give up, that he shat his pants to the point where it made everyone else in his army too upset to be in the room, and the whole invasion proved to be an utter disaster.
They were too upset to be in the same room?
Yes. Wouldn't you be if your boss, imagine you're at work and your boss shits their pants and just insists that the meeting goes on?
So all of his
Would you stay?
all of his soldiers were like, I have to go home.
Well, they were like, go compose yourself, go change your pants.
It sounds to me, so that's a great answer, but it sounds a little bit to me like that in Napoleon's mind might even be a win, that he was like, I was such a hard fighter that I refused to use the facilities. Colleen, Donahue, what is your answer?
It was a battle against bunny rabbits.
Colleen,
Let me tell you why.
tell me, hurry.
Okay, so Napoleon wanted to get the gang together for a little hunting party. So we told some of his boys to go get some rabbits to hunt, and then we'll release them, and then we'll all chase them. So his boys got some rabbits, and then when they released them from the cages, all the rabbits attacked Napoleon because they were tame rabbits. They were like house bunnies. So they saw Napoleon had all of the food. They attacked Napoleon, thinking Napoleon had like dinner, and Napoleon had to like run away. It was a swarm of bunnies. Like it was a lot.
A swarm of bunnies that defeat Napoleon.
Yeah.
I'm like so confused by that answer. I feel like I don't even have time to like dig into all of my questions about that answer.
Happened 8 years before Waterloo.
Just to recap, Shruthi's answer is 2 right shoes. Anthony's answer is shit his pants, and Colleen's answer is overtaken by
Bunnies.
bunny rabbits. All 3 of these answers are so ridiculous, especially I was kind of sold on Anthony's until he said that all the soldiers were like, no. Oh, but Anthony does have a cat. So again, that is, as we've established on the show, bonus points to Anthony. This is a really tough one. Shruthi's answer is so convincing. That sounds petty as hell, which is like very Napoleon. Oh, okay. I have to make a decision. I have to go with Anthony. Shitting your pants is a classic humiliation move. I have to give 5 points to Anthony. I can't linger too long on this because I'll start thinking about Colleen's answer again.
Well, actually, here you might want to think about Colleen's answer because it actually was those hungry little cute bunny rabbits.
I can't believe it.
I couldn't hold myself together to make it sound convincing.
I have to say, Colleen, your delivery did not help. That was the part that I was like, she's gone. This is not right. I'm so interested in that. I'm going to have to read up on it on my own time because we have to enter the lightning round. Okay. The points right now, it's a close game so far. Okay. Anthony has 20 points. Colleen Donahue has 10 points and Shruthi has 15 points. I will say, based on the past, I know that this could be anyone's game because the bonus points are going to come down to the audience and they could go any which way. Audience members, it is your turn to decide the winner. I am going to start the bonus lightning round where our contestants will give their answers. It is up to you to give bonus points. You can do that by putting somebody's name into the chat with a +1 for a bonus point that you think they should give based on the answer that you think that sounds right. That will decide the winner of this show. Give us our first bonus lightning round question. I'm coming at you fast. Shruthi, what film is this the poster for?
Oh, this was Madeline Albright's True Dream.
Thank you, Colleen Donahue. What film is this the poster for?
Amelia Earhart in Space.
Anthony, what film?
Miss Mageddon.
Actually,
Space Tour is a 2009 documentary.
2009 documentary. Thank you. Shruthi, what is this?
Oh, that's a medieval torture device. They just put that on you.
Colleen, what is this?
Wrong, a medieval sex device. It was when
Anthony, what is this?
It's a way to train owls.
Will, actually, what is this?
Shruti is right. It's called the Belgian Iron Mask. Torture device.
It was a torture device. Oh, congratulations. Next question. What is this animal's scientific name? Shruti.
Hiranhifa.
Colleen Donahue.
Jeffrey the Jeff giraffe.
Anthony.
Necus erectus.
Will, what is it actually?
Giraffe.
Giraffe. People. Next question. Okay, what scientific family does this animal belong to? Shruti.
The spotted bazongs.
Colleen Donahue.
Herbivores.
And Anthony.
Big ol' neck fam.
Will, what is it actually?
Giraffidae.
Giraffidae. That is our final bonus round question. Cut the questions. Who have I not talked to? Colleen, give the audience a shout out. Tell them something they want to know about you, and I'm going to add up these bonus points.
Something about me is that I decided tonight here on this show is that I'm going to ask 2MB Studios to create a show on slug sex to educate the world about how slugs have sex, and so people aren't scared of it anymore.
So what are you going to do after the first episode?
I am going to just keep repeating that one. and it's going to go on for 8 seasons.
I'm very sure 2MB will want to pick that up.
I'm sure.
Right here, slug sex.
Wow.
Can go after the Monday morning show.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that information, Colleen. This was a very, very close game. These bonus points really caused an upset here, but I am here to declare a winner. It is Anthony. Anthony, you are walking away with 23 points and a diploma from 2MB University. 2MB, you got to give Anthony a degree because Anthony just won this show by such a close margin. Thank you so much, Colleen, Shruti, and Anthony for coming on the show. Thank you, Will, actually, for all our correct answers tonight. Thank you, audience, for joining us. Poof is next at 8 o'clock, and we will see you all next time on That Sounds Right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.